Welcome, warriors.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Anxiety Warriors podcast. We're really excited for this week's episode. We had a fantabulous guest.
Yes.
So fantastic. We are like obsessed with her already, and we can't wait for you all to become obsessed with her. Her name is Zil Eiler. And before Abby hops into her recap, let me let you all know a little bit about who Zil is. Zil Eiler, life and business coach, comes from a family of entrepreneurs where she learned foundational business concepts from a very young age. She launched her very first business at the age of 16 while studying business administration as a freshman in college in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Besides creating businesses, she has also worked in corporate America, where she received top sales and production awards. Today, she lives in SoCal with her 3 kids and hubby and has focused her efforts in coaching coaches and entrepreneurs to gain the confidence, mindset shifts, and skills necessary to build a successful business their way. All right, Abby, share with us about this chat.
Yes. What can I even say? I
know.
I need like Zil here to like shine her personality through, right? Like she's just incredible. And she has this lightness and this depth and this just ability to draw you in while she's speaking that I feel like any recap isn't going to do justice. But I'll try. So Zil starts off by taking us to early on in the pandemic, when we didn't know that much about what was going on and what to expect. And her husband ended up getting COVID, and after much debate, ended up having to go to the hospital. And he was there for 11 days. And in that time was when Zil had experienced like anxiety she had never known before. And so she shares the story about navigating this time and this experience while her husband's in the hospital. I will give the spoiler alert that her husband's okay. And basically like what she learned from that experience and what she's applied to it since then. She shares some beautiful practices about how she welcomes anxiety when anxiety shows up, and that's helped her navigate when anxiety comes. And also just really great advice about ways to like simplify and slow down your life. I am just so excited for you all to listen to her, to hear her story. She just paints these amazing pictures of what the experience of anxiety is. She just paints these amazing pictures of like the experience of anxiety. Like you just feel right there with her during it. And yet also just shares really valuable tools to support anyone going through their own experience. It's really hard to recap this because it's just, she so beautifully shares, and I'm so excited for everyone to listen to this.
Yes, me too. She says that anxiety is a wise emotion. I'm just going to dribble that in really quick. Just let that sit with your heart for these couple of moments before you hear from Zil. Just thinking about anxiety as being wise and how much we have to learn from it. So warriors, we hope you enjoy. Without further ado, here's Zil. Welcome, warriors.
Yay.
We are thrilled to be joined today by another amazing warrior guest. Her name is Zil Eiler. Zil, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here to share my story and to spend some time with you ladies. Love the podcast.
Yes, thank you so much. We are so excited to have you. Super thrilled and honored. So let's dive in, Zil. Let's get to the meat of the anxiety, right? Who wants a sandwich with just bread? Like we need to fill the sandwich, hopefully not with too much stress, but like share with us how anxiety has kind of shown up for you in your life.
What I want to share with all of you guys who are listening to this podcast is truly the biggest moment that I had to face anxiety in my life. And I'll tell all of you right up front, it was not fun at all. Didn't sign up for it ever, right? So it was during the pandemic. I'm a mother of 3 kids, 3 beautiful kids. We have a beautiful family that we have built here in Southern California. And of course, it's the pandemic. People are catching COVID. And it was my family's turn. So started with my daughters, and then my husband also caught it. And okay, we were doing okay-ish, right? With the kids was mild, but then my husband keeps on getting worse, worse and worse. And I see his lung capacity just dropping.
Oh, man.
And, he does not want to go to the hospital because at that point, what we heard is I'm from Brazil, and I got news every day, daily, where don't let your family go to the hospital. People here who are going to the hospital are not coming back. When they go to the hospital, they don't make it back. So we hear that from another country, and here as well, people are going to the hospital. Are they coming back? Are they not coming back? What's going to happen? It's kind of out of your hand. So anyways, it got to the point where he really was not doing well.
Yeah.
And I said, let's go to urgent care. I was thinking maybe this is not, a hospitalization case, because you're always hoping for the better. You are trying to see, okay, what is the least amount of, what is some action that I can take with, still some control, because you can always walk away from urgent care. Yeah. So anyways, you get to urgent care and they take his oxygen and they're like, you need to rush him to the ER. You just need to take him right away. And I was like, said, all right. Yeah. Got in the car and rushed him to the ER, and we said our goodbyes. So he sat on a wheelchair and we said our goodbyes. And I was like, is this it? Right? At that moment, you really don't know.
Right.
And in the middle of it, and it's so close to us now, right? In the beginning of the pandemic, you heard of people somewhere, right? And then it was super close, and then he was here and was in your family. So said goodbyes and came home to talk to the kids, that is in the hospital. So navigating that, sharing that information with the kids and trying to not scare them, because, they love, my husband's such a good father and they love their dad. Yeah. And how to navigate that. So I want you to imagine how much things were building up inside of myself to that point, right?
Right.
Dropped him at the hospital, driving home, how I'm going to break the news to the kids, talking to the kids. Clearly, my nervous system is already out of whack.
Yeah.
I'm putting it together for whoever looks at me, from the outside. But internally, what's happening to the nervous system.
Yeah.
So anyways, and one day goes by, 2 days go by, 3 and 4 and 5. And every day we want news. And so long story short, several days, right, of him at the hospital. Yeah. And I was trying, I'm a life and a business coach. So I have a lot of tools that I, share with my clients that I use on myself. But that was that one night where things just exploded in major anxiety for me.
Yeah.
So I remember laying on my bed, and it was about 2 a.m, and my heart felt like it was going to explode out of my chest.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, anxiety, it's here. And the thoughts start, oh, he's not coming back. He's gonna die. How are you going to fend for the kids? How are you going to even support, the whole family? My kids, they all do, extracurricular activities. The expenses, of course, came to mind, and also the emotional aspect of dealing with it all. So a lot of thoughts start entering my mind, and it just felt so heavy. And and at that moment, that's when, and I'll tell you down the road what I did, but I want to tell you this story first, to where I had to face my anxiety, be very real, deal with it. And big part of being able to deal with it was, a big part truly was tuning into my spirituality, which I'm going to share with you guys as we go, in the podcast here. But yes, it was not fun, and was a moment of my life that I don't ever want to go back to.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, I think you do such a good job at at painting the picture of the experience. Like Margot and I, and I'm sure our listeners too, are like right there with you.
Yes.
You know, it's like, that just sounds like everyone's worst nightmare. Right. And it sounds extremely confusing because you're getting these messages from Brazil and what's happening there. And you're getting different messages from the United States and what to do in different cases. And it's very confusing. Like, how do we keep ourselves safe? How do we keep ourselves alive when we're not certain what is the best thing to do? Like, I can and can't. I live with anxiety. Imagine all of the overthinking that goes with that. Like, and then of course, the moment, like when you said that part where you dropped your husband off at the hospital, the unknowing, am I going to, right? Because early in the pandemic, they weren't letting people see their family members, right? It's just that like trusting, okay, we'll see what happens, but this is where you need to go. And so I just want to really thank you for sharing this story, because you can tell, like everyone feels it, like everyone can feel being in that moment with you, and it just there's no words, it feels awful, right, to navigate that. So I just first want to just thank you for sharing that. I'm assuming and hoping your husband is okay.
He's okay. He came back and he's fine, and yes, everything's fine. So I was immensely lucky.
Yeah.
And, and blessed to have him back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I really like, I can't imagine just everything you had to do in those 5 days, because the other part that you said that was really, really fascinating is like how you used different words, but like falling apart on the inside, but you had to keep it all together on the outside. And I really think that is so relatable to so many people that are just caregiving for people, or people that died and they're grieving over their loved ones, or, just the way that we all have to walk in society, where we have to act like we're fine. We have it all together, whether for ourselves, for our colleagues, for our children, right? But on the inside, it's a totally different experience. And I just really thank you for adding that piece in, because I think that is something that like so many of us anxiety warriors and mental health warriors go through, is having to put on a face for others while we don't feel that way on the inside.
Absolutely. That was tough. And there were 11 days altogether.
11 days.
Yes. Felt like 11 decades.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, every moment must have just been agonizing. I mean, I also want to highlight something you said about how you were like, what's the least amount I could do, right? Like, to not lose control of the situation. And without having gone through that exact experience, but I could instantly relate to that moment, because it's like Abby and I have spoken at length, and some of our guests even too, about like, if you go to the hospital, that means it's real, right? Yeah. Which it's like, it's real no matter where you go. But in your own mind, right, you're like, I'm not going to allow this to enter. I'm not going to allow this to be real until it's really real, right? And I just really appreciated that honesty, because I feel like a lot of people out there probably avoid going to the hospital or the doctor or wherever because of their fear, because of their anxiety. Like, members of my own family, myself included, have a lot of white coat syndrome. I really don't like going to the doctor. I will do anything to avoid going to the doctor. Once in a while, I joke, I'm like, I hope I just drop dead and like I can't be resuscitated, because my husband does not like hearing that. My family does not like hearing that. No. But part of me is like, that's how much I really loathe being at the doctor. And so, I just appreciate that honesty of just like, this is a scary time, right? The beginning of COVID, those early months, especially, were so frightening, where nobody really had the answers. Nobody had any idea. Everyone's flying by the seat of their pants. It's chaos everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I just appreciated, hearing that part of it, because I feel like so many of us either feel like we're making too much of our situation, we're being a burden somehow by showing up with the doctor, even during a crisis, during a pandemic, right? Something that's taking the lives of way too many people. And so obviously I'm super grateful to you, Zil, for sharing that amazing story. And I'm obviously glad too that your husband's home and hopefully thriving, and you're all just getting on with life.
Yes, he's doing really well. And to tell the truth, I think that in the end, it made us even stronger together because you never know what it is. And you know that everybody's going to die someday, right? We're mortals, all of us. But we think we live life as if we are mortals, if that's never going to happen to us. And then you're thrown in a situation where it's so like on your face and it's there and it gets so real. The what ifs are not like, it's not a what if, it truly could happen in the next hour that I get a phone call from the hospital. And then you get to appreciate more the people that are around you. You get to appreciate people more, right? And your own family members at a deeper level because it's, it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so true. When you're faced with these moments of like losing a loved one or mortality or whatever, it's like you really get to really appreciate the people in your life. It gives you this deeper appreciation, this more like deeper presence to the joy we have with these people. Like you're so right. Like those moments of crisis really show us what we have.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's it, right? In the end, what truly matters, and I know I coach a lot of business women and, so I'm always helping people make money or, improve their business, whatever it is. But at the end, what truly matters is this, right? The relationships that we built and the people in our lives and the time we spend with them. But we get it so off sometimes. I was reading an article this morning about this very, topic where do we miss, the most important things? Why do we miss our focus on what's truly important? And I think with anxiety, that is also, it can make a parallel because are we worrying? Are we letting our anxiety take over our lives because our focus is so off? And all of those things that truly don't matter in the end are taking our power away and, are giving us so much anxiety. Would it be simpler? Would we be able to have a more, grounded life and even deal with anxiety at a lower level if we are focused on the simple things, if you're focused on the relationships that matter, if we try to simplify.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. If we try to simplify.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it's always, I don't know if it's just that my ADHD, but whenever somebody says something so powerful at the end, it's like, I heard everything else you said, but oof, when you simplify, right? That is the source of presence right there, right?
Yes.
That bringing things to a more baseline, minimalistic level, right? Clearing our space, finding practices that clear our heads a little bit better, right? These are the gifts of life that we often forget about because we're so inundated with information, with the tasks that we have to do, with responsibilities, with the heavier parts of our day, that we really wind up letting go of what truly matters in the end, as you've said several times. All right. So let's think, I want to hear more, share with us more about how you noticed the anxiety kind of manifesting itself in you physically, like in your mind and body and behaviors. You shared a little bit about the overthinking, right? Being up in the middle of the night when it came to this experience in particular. So either talk to us a little bit about how you noticed it manifesting in you physically during this experience, or just about anytime you feel anxious. Like, how does anxiety kind of show up in you in the physical sense?
Yeah, so definitely the body is where it manifests itself first. And for me, it's usually in the chest area. So your heart, right? My heart pounds as if I'm running, as if I've just run, 50 miles. So the heart is just pounding, pounding, pounding. And with it comes a sense of emptiness. So it's not like when you run and your heart is pounding, of course, your body is releasing chemicals, right? And you feel good. That feels good. Like I love when I go running and my heart's pounding, and that feels so good. The heart is pounding and you feel despair and you feel emptiness. So I want you to imagine that, there is a hole in the chest. So the heart's pounding and there is an empty space in the chest that needs to be filled, and it just feels off. Besides that, then you just sweat, right? So sometimes your body temperature raise, and you feel, oh my goodness, I'm sweating. Like, why am I sweating right now? So all of those signs that you are in, in a dangerous situation, that's what your body is reading here. And then the thoughts start. Then it goes to the head where the thoughts start, and you're thinking, overthinking. But what I truly believe happens is that there was a thought before. A lot of times subconsciously, you're programmed to think of certain things. And then there is the thought, and the body's feeling that. So in that case with my husband, when he was in the hospital, that was probably a thought. He's going to die. And how am I going to do life without, first of all, the love of my life, because I love the man. And second of all, the father of my children. And so there were a lot of thoughts that, even before my body was manifesting the anxiety, the brain was already creating a story there.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
100%. It makes so much sense. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just do such a great job of like painting enough of a picture that we're there with you. Like when you're talking about your heart and that feeling of like emptiness and it just feels off. It's like, yes, that is anxiety for me. Like I feel that 100%. Like I feel it in my heart, and then it just feels off, right? But you're so right too. It's like we have our conscious and our unconscious thoughts, and we don't really know what our unconscious thoughts are telling us, but they trigger us into feeling extremely unsafe and knowing something is wrong, but there's nothing we can really do about it.
I really love the visual too of imagining the hole in the chest. Like Abby and I talk a lot about like seeing things in pictures, and I want to just echo what she said, that you are taking us to these moments with your words and through your story that allow me as a listener, I'll just speak for me as a listener, to be able to picture a hole that needs to be filled, right? Yes. Or that seeks to be filled. And to make it more fun and playful, at least in my mind, I'm like imagining that if there were a hole in my chest, filling it up with dirt and seeds where a flower could grow. Right. And it's just like, and normally my mind doesn't go to that kind of positivity, especially when it comes to anxiety. So I'm kind of fascinated at the moment, but I think it's just the energy that you give off when you share that. Like, even though you were talking about emptiness and despair, which I believe are, again, deeply relatable emotions when it comes to anxiety, but what can we do, right, to kind of fill up that space with something that's maybe going to help us in the long run, even if we can't see through the mud and the dirt right away, right? What can we kind of plant the seed to help grow? I love that. I love that visual. So thank you. So I think that's a good jumping off point, actually, to start thinking about strategies, right? So share with our listeners about some of the ways that, again, in this circumstance or just in general, when you're experiencing anxiety, what are like Zil's go-tos? Like, these are the things that typically help me. I know in your story in the beginning, you were like, all the tools in the world. Sometimes that one night, though, it didn't help you so much. But more generally speaking, like, what are some of the things that really support you when you're having a tough time?
Yeah, so number one is to stay with it. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong, because they try to avoid it or to look the other way or to push it away. And as you do that, it just becomes stronger. So I stay with it. I actually welcome it, and I talk to it yearly. I might say, hey, anxiety, you're here. Oh, welcome. Welcome. What do you want to tell me? Yes. What is it that I need to know, that you think I need to know? Oh, you need to know that your husband is going to die. All right. If he does die, what are you going to do? He does die, I'm alive and I can still keep going. So we have that conversation, and I've learned how to welcome it, how to stay with it, to not think it's that anything has gone wrong. Yeah. because, nothing has gone wrong. Anxiety showed up. Just like, a lot of other feelings show up as well. And I find that this is super powerful once you open up, make room for it, and you watch it peak. And you know that after it peaks, it has to go just one direction, which is down.
Yeah.
And then it starts to go down and then it goes away.
Mm.
So I think it's a beautiful dance. And once you make peace with that anxiety and don't make it mean that your life is ending, that things are going to be horrible, that you truly are in trouble, that, tomorrow is going to be once you just listen to it, it doesn't, like, it becomes more manageable. Yes.
Yes. I mean,
Body
what you're
chills.
saying is, it's so valuable. It's so applicable, right? And it's so important is to give anxiety the chance to voice itself. Anxiety wants to be heard. We don't have to listen to it, right? We don't have to believe it, but it so just needs to be heard. And I love how you said that, like anxiety was saying the worst case scenarios and you were like, okay, but I'm still going to be okay. Right?
Yeah.
Like you were like soothing anxiety, but like, as a character, right? Like anxiety is external and you're soothing it. And it's like, I know we're worried together and it's going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And I like, that is such a powerful tool and a skill, right? Because you're right. A lot of us, when it happens, sometimes still when I have anxiety, I'm like, go away. I don't want to deal with you right now. It's so much easier to try to push it away, but it doesn't stop then. Right. And so when you give it the space to be heard and then give it the space to show itself until it peaks and then it starts to come down, it's like, that is such a powerful tool. So thank you for sharing that.
I love the phrase, it's a beautiful dance.
Mm-hmm.
I love that sound. I mean, just because it is, right? It's got rhythm, it's got a heartbeat, it's got a flow to it, it's got an up and down, a progression, a degression, a regression. I just think that is such an amazing metaphor for what our anxiety can be. Sometimes it's violent, sometimes it's wild, sometimes it's intense, other times it's, soft or, flowy. And we don't always love the movement, but we move through it, right? We don't always love the movement, but we move through it. And so I love that visual too. All right. Thank you so much. How would you describe your relationship to anxiety? If you could describe it, how would you describe it?
Yeah. So today I would say it is an open relationship and truly anxiety is welcome. So there truly is an open door. Not that I want it to come, but there is an open door because I find that when I listen to it, I learn about my fears, I learn about myself, and that I also learn about what's not true and how, where in my life I'm feeling voids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I think today and here and there, of course, I still feel anxiety to where, the heart will be pounding and I'm listening. So I think we can actually, if we see anxiety as a wise emotion and not like as this scary thing that came here to overtake you, that take over your life, that you can't, if you look into the wisdom that it has, I think you'll find a lot of answers for perhaps things in your life they need to give more attention or less attention. There is wisdom there. So today we have an open relationship. I think that's how I would, explain my relationship with anxiety.
Beautiful. It's just
It's unreal. Zil, before we recorded, we didn't go over twinkles.
I know. I was
to go
like,
over sparkle and shine.
Yeah.
And so we have to just cover it now because this just means like we're blown away. We're blown away by what you just said. We appreciate you. We appreciate
my heart feels your heart. Like,
yeah. So we're sending that to you right now. That was
Really?
amazing. Thank you. I love it. An open relationship, but it's really welcome and it's an open door. It's an open door.
Know.
And I love that you said today. it is, right? As opposed to like, it always is. And I'm going to feel that way tomorrow and next week and next year. It's very much present. It's right now. Here's my relationship to this thing. And I really appreciate that. All right. If you could step back in time and speak to a younger version of yourself, what kind of advice would you offer yourself?
Oh my goodness. The first thing that comes to mind is don't worry, everything's going to be fine. Everything's always fine. You are resourceful. You'll always figure things out. Don't rush. There is no rush into anything. Take your time. It's okay to slow down. And sometimes when you slow down, that's when eventually you'll be able to go faster. I come from a family of entrepreneurs and overachievers, and you can probably tell by my energy, right? And sometimes there was this urgency to get things done or to finish things and get to the next level. And I just wish she could just chill a bit more. It'll be nice.
Yeah. And that goes right back to what you were saying at the beginning of Simplify, right? Like when you don't have to rush around, when you stop the worrying, like all of that is simplifying things. Like it's okay to slow down. But I loved that you said like, no rush, take your time. Like I was feeling that, right? Because anxiety it makes us feel rushed. It makes us feel like we have to go from one thing to the next because there's so much thinking going on in our heads. But you said like you can slow down and that can help you speed up, right? And I love that idea, because it doesn't mean you always have to be slow, but that slowing and that pausing, right, can really help you get to that next space. Such good advice.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So we just have one more question before we jump into some lightning round fun, get to know you type questions. And that is, what does being an anxiety warrior mean to you? When you hear this phrase, what comes up for you?
Yes, I think when we hear the word warrior, we think about somebody who's fighting, right? Who's fighting the good fight and winning. Like my brain goes straight to, armors and swords. But when I think about anxiety being a warrior, first of all, is showing the world and showing everyone that this battle is already set. You've already won this. Anxiety is not stronger than you. So just by realizing that and being an example that this is possible empowers people. So being an anxiety warrior for me is knowing that, hey, the battle is already over. You can show up, but I know in the end, I'm here, I'm still alive, everything is still fine. And then through that, I can show other people that they can also win this battle that they've already won, that, truly nothing has gone wrong here. We are dealing with one emotion and there are so many others, right, that we have to deal on a daily basis. So yes, that's what that means to me.
Yes. Right. It's like reminding anxiety, like, hey, you're not the only emotion. You're welcome. We have an open relationship, but there's others too. Like, I love that part.
Make some room on the line.
Yes.
It's like, where's Joy? Where's Joy in the back of the line? Let's bring Joy up to the front of the line, please.
Yeah, come on, Joy. We got to have some more welcoming time here. I love the piece also that you included as part of being an anxiety warrior is like being a warrior for yourself, but also remembering to include others, right? Like, I feel like that part is so important is when you realize, this battle is already won, like, hey, let's help other people out too.
Yes. That's my, part of my mission here is to show people, who they are, how strong they are, how powerful they are, that an emotion doesn't have to overthrow their whole lives, and that they can overcome those emotions and have a clear mind to keep going after their dreams. There are so many beautiful dreams to be lived, to be conquered. That's a much more beautiful battle, that I'd rather fight, which is, let me see, where I want to go this month, or what ways I want to grow, give them more attention, and then show everybody that this is possible once you make peace with that anxiety. doesn't let you rule your life. It doesn't have to.
Yeah, I do think it is part of our responsibility as anxiety warriors, right? Especially those of us that are out there trying to use our voice for the better. That's one of the main reasons why Abby and I wanted to create this space, is because not because we've fully healed from anxiety or that it's something we don't experience anymore. We experience it sometimes all day, every day. But the reality is that we're bringing people along on our journey because it does feel like an important responsibility, an obligation, that when you have gained resources and tools, when you do have the ability to accept and pause and reflect, to show up in authenticity and vulnerability, not just for yourself, as you kind of said, but bring others along for the ride and let them see it unfold. And that also shows them, hey, if Zil can do it, I can do it too. If Margot and Abby have done it, I can do it too. Even if we stumble, even if we fall, it's not perfect, but whatever is, literally nothing. Okay. Thank you so much for that amazing interview. It was just beyond so inspiring. And
oh my gosh, so many nuggets, so much wisdom, so much
know.
beauty, like
more one-liners. We really need our guests to just like come up with inspirational posters for us.
Yeah, for real. Like, yeah.
Love it. So fun to be here with you both. Such a good vibe. I wish all of you guys who are listening to this, episode were here in the room with us. You are in a sense, but it's such good energy. Thank you.
More seeds planted. Maybe we have a warrior retreat in our future.
All hanging out.
Retreat. Yeah. All right. So it's time to have some fun. We're going to play now, get down in the mud a little bit and get to know you a little bit better, Zil. Anxiety can sometimes be a little bit heavy, and we like to end on a light high note. So are you ready for lightning round?
Let's do it.
Lightning. Okay. So we're just going to go back and forth and ask you a handful of fun, get to know you type questions. Sure. You don't have to go too quickly. You can take a pause, take a breath. Lightning is just the name of the round. You don't have to be lightning speed.
You can simplify and go slow.
There you go.
That's right. Don't rush, as you said. Wise words. All right. Abby, I'm going to go first today.
Okay.
I feel like last time I like threw it to you last time.
All right.
It's my turn to go first. Okay. Here we go. If you could have dinner with any celebrity, dead or alive, who would it be?
Shakira.
Oh, yes. Why? Why Shakira?
Husband loves her.
What about you?
With her. I don't know. I like
dinner's not for him. Dinner's for you.
She plays the guitar. She's beautiful. Yes, I love her.
She's amazing.
She's she's amazing. Latina powerhouse.
Yeah.
Yes. Her Super Bowl performance was beyond.
Yes. Yeah.
Her and J-Lo, they crushed it. They crushed it. I love it.
Love it.
Good choice.
Okay. So I'm assuming you've been to some. Oh, okay. No, wait. I got a different question. Okay. So I do plan to come to San Diego soon. And so what is like the go-to spots in San Diego? Like the top 1 or 2 spots that, like, if someone's going to San Diego, they need to go to this spot. What do you think?
Okay. So Children's Pool, which is, by the beach in La Jolla Cove. They have so many seals just laying there, and it's so awesome to go there to see the seals. It's a beautiful experience. It does smell a little, but it's a must go.
Yeah.
I love the nightlife and night lights, and so you have to go to the Gaslamp District.
Okay.
For dinner.
Yeah.
For fun.
Yeah.
Lots of things to go there, to do there. Yeah.
Awesome. Is there like one particular restaurant that you like highly recommend in Gaslamp District?
You know what? Dessert at Ghirardelli.
Okay.
Oh,
okay. I'm taking
the
notes right now.
Ghirardelli. The Ghirardelli?
Yeah.
Oh man, I want that right now.
Good.
Sounds amazing. I need some dark chocolate with some caramel and sea salt. Anyway, okay. Describe a positive, life-changing moment that you had.
Yeah. So through coaching, I used to think I was a victim to a lot of things. And then I'm like, ooh, it's just my thinking. So for me, understanding that my thoughts were creating a lot of my reality was so powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
Yes. I
Love
so
that.
feel that. Yeah.
That's creating my reality. Yeah.
It's a huge shift when you're like, oh,
Yes.
wait a second. I don't have to think this way and be the victim. I
Mhm.
can take responsibility. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Game changer.
Okay. What is some hobby that you like to do? Something that like, it's just like brings you total joy when you're doing it.
Dancing. Oh my goodness. Dancing is the best. You can go
Same.
samba and there are no rules. You just dance freely. Love it.
Love it. Yeah.
So good. So good. I love to dance too. Okay. Final question for me. It's a hard hitter. Okay. So good luck. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Say that again. Sorry.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, hot dog. Sandwich. No,
Oh, okay. Then why?
because it has a hot dog in it. So it's a hot dog.
Yes. Oh, I love it. So good. You hear arguments for why it is a sandwich, arguments for why it isn't so. I love the simplicity. Why? Because there's a hot dog in it.
Yes.
Perfect.
I love that. Okay. What is your go-to song when you're in the car and you're just jamming out with yourself?
You must have been love,
But
it's over now. It's been good, but I lost it somehow.
oh my goodness. The fact that you just started singing it, you are our people.
Yeah.
We usually have to beg people to sing for us.
Oh my goodness, I'll sing for you if you can handle it.
Oh,
we love it.
We love it. We are two of the worst singers on planet Earth, but that never stops us.
No, we still sing. We belt it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for your light, for all your incredible wisdom.
Yeah.
Before we have you share with our listeners how they can connect with you, which we'll do in a moment, we love to ask all of our guests to share a win of the week, something big or small that's happened either this week or just recently that felt like a win.
Sure. I had so many wins, seriously, this week. So why don't we talk about yesterday? At 5:30 p.m., the kids were fed. I was washing the last pot in my sink. Lunches for everybody was packed for the next day. And I was sitting on my kitchen chair. 5:30 p.m. Isn't that amazing? I was like,
That's
what
amazing.
is happening? I managed to, what it takes to get to that point? You have to plan the meal like sometime before. And then you have to go grocery shopping. Whether you go online or you go to the store, then you actually have to cook, which takes time. Then you have to gather everybody to eat that dinner. And then they have to eat. And then the dishes have to be in the sink so they can be washed. I mean, amazing. Oh my God.
Yes.
I
That
love
blew
how
my mind. A huge win. Yes.
so
I'll
good.
take that win all day. Over
Yes. I love
it.
that it's mundane, right? It's like the stuff that you have to do on a daily basis, but you got it all done in a beautiful, timely fashion. And that's probably pretty rare, I imagine, with 3 kids. So that's a huge win.
Love
It's
it.
massive.
Yeah, sitting on that chair was the best.
Yes. Right.
The clean kitchen, the kids were fed. I'm like, what? Like, yeah, so good.
So like, what else is there to do now?
Yeah.
That's right.
Amazing. Thank you. All right. So share with our listeners how they can connect with you, where they can find you.
Yes, find me on Instagram. It's Zil Eiler Coaching. I think so. Is that right? I don't look up my own Instagram, but I think so. Z as in beautiful. That's not a word, but
Nice.
beautiful with a Z. Zileiler.
Amazing. Zil Eiler Coaching.
Yes. Coaching.
All right. I feel like Abby's double checking right
yes,
now.
I'm double checking. Yep, you're correct.
You got it.
Know this? I should know, right?
You should
I always
practice
forget
knowing, but I
mine
get it. I
too.
forget mine too. I do. I'm like, where's the underscore in my? I have 3 different Instagram accounts. It's very hard to keep track of sometimes. So
I
don't,
think
no
one time
worries.
Margot and I were podcasting and you said it wrong or your email wrong. You're like, wait, what is it?
I totally did. Yes.
Yeah.
When I had my second child, I told the person who comes in to register the baby, I told that person my husband's birthday wrong. I told them, the wrong birthday. So my child was registered like father, his name, in birthday, completely wrong.
Oh
I
God.
had to amend that, birth certificate later. So should I know his birthday? Maybe.
I mean, to be fair, you had just had a baby. You shouldn't be
That's
required
true.
to do a Q&A.
Yeah.
Somebody else should answer that question.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. So funny. Arl, thank you so much, Zil, for being such an amazing, passionate guest. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So fun to be with you ladies. Yay. All right.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you too. Bye guys.
Bye.
Oh my gosh. I don't know what to say about this conversation with Zil other than it was amazing.
Yeah. I would say
amazing.
my heart is full with joy and light, like joy and light, like this whole, even during the entire like beginning of her story, she just paints it in a way that I felt like a companion. I felt like I was with her and connecting to her throughout and everything she shared. When we hung up, I just felt so much joy and lightness.
Totally. Yeah. She took us for a ride. Right.
Yeah.
And she made that ride easy to understand, to relate to, even with her story being very unique to her.
Yeah.
It just felt like being on a journey, on a story, reading a novel, right? Like you're just taking the ride with this person, the ups and downs and the sideways motion and all the things. Just feeling, I like what you said, just heartful, just grateful right now for that, for this conversation. All right. I think my first takeaway is how often, Zil is such a passionate speaker, right? She's a warm, just magnetic presence, and she speaks very passionately, but also in a very calming and safe feeling way. I just felt very safe listening to her share her story. I can imagine that she's a very helpful and valuable and inspiring coach.
Yes.
Yes. And with that, I really loved how often she said that she welcomes anxiety.
Yes.
She really is a welcoming presence. She really gives off the aura, just the sense or the feeling of like, I am here to feel it all and welcome it all. Yes. And anxiety is just one emotion. It's a big one. That's why we're here. Hello. But it's only one. Right. And so I just really appreciated and valued how often she felt like she said things like love. I was about to say love is an open door.
I know. That's why I like
Frozen reference. Frozen reference. That anxiety is an open door, that we can welcome it. It's a beautiful dance. She talked so much about acceptance and staying with her experience and not pushing it down or away, because that makes it bigger and stronger. So I think, I don't even know what I'm saying. I just loved everything this woman said.
I know.
So the takeaway is that I loved everything Zil had to say. And I especially loved the welcome part. Just like we can welcome anxiety, like we welcome any other good emotion. And even the ones that aren't so good, we can sort of stay with them because it will start to go away. It will start to dissipate. She said, I think it was like, once you get all the way to the top, there's only one place to go. So
exactly. I mean, that was definitely one of my takeaways too. Like while she was talking about that, right? The welcoming of anxiety and the like sitting down and being like, okay, what's going on? Right? Like letting anxiety be heard rather than like pushing it away. Right. And then like having a conversation with anxiety. It's not one-sided where anxiety is just like saying all the fear, right? It's like, no, wait a second. Like, now let me tell you, anxiety, like I see that fear, right? And yeah, it's scary. And also we're going to be okay. Right. So like, for me, it was the same takeaway, like that welcoming anxiety was huge. But since I don't want to say exactly what you just said, I'll add the piece about just really having like a conversation with anxiety where it's either not us being like, go away, I don't care about you, right? You're annoying. You're driving me nuts. Go away, right? Or it's not the other one where anxiety is just like berating all its fears on us until we like need to go take a nap or watch TV or whatever,
Yeah.
And so it was just so powerful to have this open dialogue with anxiety and being like, okay, I see that fear. And also like, we've been okay. We've always been okay. During all the hard things, we're okay, right? And so that was just like, And her sharing that again, and like you said, she must be an amazing coach, because in that welcoming piece, in that accepting piece, in that open dialogue, I was like, yeah, that's coaching too. Right. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Exactly. And obviously you're an amazing coach. So right. Gold sees gold. I get it. No, truly. I think my other major takeaway is that the majority of Zill's story was about this one experience that she had, right? We didn't really dive into it all. Like, hey, did you notice anxiety in childhood, which we often find out from our guests, right? Even though they didn't have the language for it, or in her early adolescence, or in her 20s, or whatever. And even with just the one main story that she told, I still feel like it had so many deeply relatable moments, right? Like our healthcare system, aside from a pandemic, is fraught. It is anxiety inducing. There is so much to think about when it comes to visiting the hospital, visiting urgent care. What about one versus the other? And not wanting to feel like you're doing the most, maybe when you don't have to do the most. And I just felt sort of seen in a way when she was trying not to take in the fact that maybe something was deeply wrong with her husband, because she didn't want to allow herself to think about it. And I just think that a lot of us deal with that, even on a small level or maybe a huge level. But we don't necessarily share it all the time.
Yeah.
And so I guess I just really valued Zil being honest in that moment and saying that they were fighting to like not do the most, right? Even though that's what inevitably he needed to get better. Yeah. And I'm so grateful, obviously, that they were able to figure that out at urgent care and get him immediately to the hospital and the care that he needed. But just how deeply frightening that is, just the acknowledgement of how scary that is. Yeah. I'm not really sure that there's like an inspiring anecdote here that I'm sharing about, something she said. Other than that, I just valued her honesty in navigating those tricky first few months of COVID with something that was clearly literally so close to home. It was her life partner, the father of her 3 children, and how hard that must have been. And it's hard to imagine. At the same time, it's easy to imagine because it's the case, not just with COVID, but just for health in this country for so many Americans.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's always like, well, if I just wait long enough, I should be okay. Right? Like, how do I know when this is emergency or not? How do I know if they're going to take me seriously or send me home or not? How am I going to know if I'm wasting my time or not? Right? Like, there's so many different questions. So I'm with you in just feeling so relatable to that moment in our healthcare system in general. I'm feeling stuck between 2 takeaways, so I'm going to just say one and then really say the other. But so I'm going to just reflect on how much I loved her talking about simplifying, because anxiety really complicates. It just throws chaos everywhere, right? And to find the practices to slow down and simplify, like I loved her acknowledging that, but I'm going to say my final takeaway is different. My final takeaway goes kind of to what you were saying in the healthcare system, but in the more caregiving piece. And I really appreciated how she said how inside she wasn't okay, but she had to put on this act for the outside. And as someone who was a previous caregiver, right, I felt that so deeply in every cell of my body, of having to navigate normal society when my world inside is forever changing, and how you have to do that and the strength it takes to do that. And when she said that, again, it's like, I've said this before, but it's just, we never know what people are walking with.
Yeah.
So if we can all just be gentle with each other, which is hard, right?
Hard.
We make snap judgments right away. Oh, that person didn't hold the door open for me. They're not nice, right? They're a jerk, right? But
totally.
But maybe that person didn't even see me coming because their inner turmoil, their inner suffering is so much right now. They're not paying attention to other people, right? Totally. So I just really valued her bringing that piece in, because caregiving, worrying about loved ones, it changes your insides, but society forces us to keep going on. We have to keep doing stuff. And so that was huge for me. So thank you for sharing that part, Zil. Thank you for sharing all of it. And that part too, I really related to.
Yeah. I'm sure many of our warriors can, you know? Yes. Thank you, Zil, so much for sharing your heart, your story with us on the pod. We are so, so grateful. Warriors, if you'd like to connect with us for any reason, we hope that you do. You can find us on Instagram. We are at Anxiety Warriors Podcast. You can join our community over there. If you'd like to reach out for any reason, you can also shoot us an email at anxietywarriorspodcast@gmail.com. You can shout out your wins of the week, big or small, share any topic ideas with us, things you'd love to hear us cover on the pod. Or if you think you'd be a great fit as a guest, or if you think you know someone that would be a great fit as a guest on our show, reach out, throw us an email, throw us a DM on Instagram, and let's get you on the calendar. Let's hear your story and help you tell it. Please take a couple of seconds and smash that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, wherever you're tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe to our show on all of these platforms. Follow the show on all of these platforms. It just tells all those fun internet-y places that I don't truly understand that, we mean something to you. I know that you mean something to us, warriors. So it would be very, very helpful if you did all of those things. And take a second and check out our merch shop. You can jump into our show notes or a link in bio on Instagram and grab yourself some fun Anxiety Warriors Podcast swag.
Yes. Do it.
Do it.
Rock it for the summer.
Get yourself something fun. You deserve it.
Yes. Treat yourself. Thank you all so much for going on this journey with us. We are so grateful that we get to do this with you all every week.
Until next time.